Is Gauri actually your love story? What advices do you have for people like me to find love in IFMR or any other B school? How can I balance a dynamic relationship if I have two girls in my life? Good day, viewers. Welcome to Speakers Club podcast. In today's episode of Writing Between the Lines, we have IFMR's one of the most best storytellers and a charismatic teacher, Dr. Sathya Saminadan sir. Dr. Sathya Sam is a distinguished academic and marketing expert and a celebrated author with almost 2 decades of experience spanning both academic and corporate world. A PhD holder in e-commerce with a focus on consumer behavior, he began his career in sales and marketing within the pharmaceutical industry before transitioning into aviation and banking sector. In 2010, Dr. Sathya Sam followed his passion for teaching, joining Great Lakes Institute of Management as a marketing lecturer. Currently associated with our very own IFMR GSB Kriya University, he has earned accolades such as the Best Professor of the Year award in 2016 for his contributions to teaching and research in marketing. Dr. Sam is also an accomplished researcher and consultant with numerous publications in marketing and management. As an author, he debuted in 2020 with his best-selling love story Gauri and followed by a thrilling novel, The Deception Moment, in 2022, which was recognized as the best book of the year by Midday. I once again welcome Dr. Sathya Saminadan sir. I welcome you, sir.
Hi, good evening, Vivek. It's a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for welcoming me to this wonderful podcast. Really look forward to the discussion.
It's a pleasure, sir. So we'll dive deep into the
Please.
podcast. I'd like to start the podcast by asking a very simple yet what I believe is a very powerful question. People know you as a seasoned marketer, people know you as an author, people know you as public speaker, blogger, experienced faculty, and whatnot, social columnist, blogger. If you had a chance to choose one personality, one identity, what would it be?
Okay, thank you so much for that question. So, you have given me four avatars. Whenever I meet people, I'm generally given a prefix wherever I go. For example, when I come to my workplace, I'm called as Professor Sathya Sam. When I go to any of the other forums, they call me Mr. Sathya Sam. And when I meet the author fraternity, when I go and give a talk in front of the authors colloquium and all that, they call me Author Sathya Sam. So, though there are so many prefixes, people sometimes call me in my research fraternity, they call me as Dr. Sathya Sam because I'm also a PhD holder. Of all that, I would always love to have the author hat on my head because, I firmly believe that the doctorate or the professor have all come from my own hard work. Okay, I have put in a lot of effort and I have groomed myself for becoming that for years together. But whereas the authorship is something that has come directly from Almighty, I feel that whenever I sit with my laptop to write a story, I conceptualize a story, but then when I sit for writing it, the scenes for those stories come from somewhere. I firmly believe that somewhere from outside universe it comes from, into me. And then I encapsulate that into stories. So if you ask me between these four, which is my favorite, I will always go for author because that is something I do out of passion.
It's a great answer, sir. Obviously, passion comes first.
Definitely because
Survival, if I could say.
yeah, always a firm believer that passion plays a major role in shaping your career because you know like we say like somebody like a great Maslow said, when you start your career initially you will be going behind money, but over the period the fascination towards your money will vanish and then you will start chasing your passion. So I believe that if somebody is going to chase the passion, that's the right way of handling your life because only when you chase your passion the money will start chasing you, is what is my firm belief.
That really makes sense, sir. So, moving on to the next question, which we'll start with the journey.
Sure.
As in the journey from academia to a working professional and then to a author. So, how did your studies and professional experiences shape in chasing your profession? Like you said, in the whole journey, At some point, you started to chase your passion. But I believe that all the past experiences would have contributed to that. How did those contribute, and how did the journey transpire from your academia to professional working experience, back to academia, and then to a best-selling author? How did that journey come?
Okay, it's a very long story, but then I will tell you, since we have limited time, I'll tell you as little as possible. To start with, I'm an MBA student when I did my studies. And you know that in the MBA, you are an MBA student, so you know how MBA life is. You will do a presentation every alternate day, right? So most of the times, what I understood during my MBA days was that I was very good in doing presentations. Most of the times when I do a group project, my group relied on me to do the presentations, take the front seat while doing the presentations. The reason why I was appreciated, for my presentations by my professors was that I generally don't give a narration in my presentation. Rather, I would put some anecdotes, intersperse some anecdotes here and there. So for those anecdotes, those days I'm talking about where Google was insignificant and you had no chat GPT, the internet was upcoming. In spite of that, when you have to put an anecdote during a presentation, you literally have to read and think, right? So that's what we do. I did, I started reading a lot of books, a lot of listening to a lot of stories to make sure that, the presentations are becoming interesting. So what I understood was when you give a presentation with some example stories, with some anecdotes, people started listening to you with full utmost concentration, right? That helped me to understand which is my passion. Then somebody, one of the greatest professors who taught me during those days, told me that, sales is the cup of tea for you because you've been a very, very good storyteller so far, all these 2 years. So I think you should concentrate and get into some selling job, right? So I thought that was the right place for me to move in, and I got into a sales job. So when I went into the sales job was very, very tough, as we all know. It's a very competitive world out there. But then the storytelling habit continued. Whenever I met a client, whenever I went for a presentation, for a client presentation, the storytelling was imbibed in me. So whenever I give instances or some kind of situations to the customer to understand the perception of the product, I will tell them a story which will complement his understanding, his or her understanding. So, thankfully, there was a blessing in disguise which happened later. That blessing in disguise was in 2008 9, there was an acute recession. To be very precise, it was 2009. During the recession time, many people were removed from every system, every company. But I was so very lucky that I was not removed. I was not asked to go because I was lucky that I was a performer then. So they asked me to become a trainer. Totally a different job altogether. I was into marketing. I was heading a team. I was heading a department. Suddenly they made me a trainer. But at that point of time, you had to take whatever job comes your way. Otherwise, you will be asked to go. That's the only choice they were giving. So I took up the training job. The training job was kind of fascinating because I have to travel a lot. I have to go to different places and give training. But then again, my storytelling got a great opportunity over there. Then I realized that I am better as a trainer than a better marketer. Okay. So I wanted to try my hands in training, but then training is not a very, very interesting field to be in for a longer period. It's a short term, speculation. So then I was researching where should I go. When I did that, then somebody told me that, if at all, if you want to extend your storytelling habit and also make money, then become a professor in a very good college. So that is where it all started. So once I got into my first job as a professor, I thought the life would be very easy because all that I have to do is to go and speak for 2 hours and come back and dress myself in the cabin. But it was not like that. It was where professors are expected to research, professors are expected to write case studies, they're expected to consult, they're expected to do corporate engagements. So it was a multifaceted job end of the day. But I started loving that job. And also the biggest advantage of being in this profession is since writing is a part of your KRA, they also give you writing time. So I got a lot of time to write. So that is where I started my journey as an author, I would say. So since I was able to squeeze some time during my work to write articles and case studies. It is a very good platform for me to start writing. So this is what it all started.
I can actually vouch for some of his statements, as in He's a great presenter. As one of the students who has been in his class, apart from everything that he has marketed in his life, I believe the best marketing he has done is for himself, and you would know if he has sat in his first class in any of his lectures. So moving on to the journey of publishing your first book. So what challenges did you face when you are trying to publish your first book, and how did you overcome them? And most importantly, how do you stay motivated during those times? You know, writing the book and then editing it first, as in you would have put a lot of thought, you would have put a lot of emotions in writing characters, you would have had to edit all those things, and after putting all those efforts you have to put even more efforts to publish it as well, to convey what you have written to another person, maybe a businessman or someone like that. How did that journey come, and how did you stay yourself motivated during those tough times?
Let me tell you, when I started writing when I was in 5th standard. Okay, I come from an age where the extracurriculars are not given the priority by parents. Okay, unlike today. Today, I can see a lot of parents giving, including myself, I'm telling you, a lot of insistence for extracurriculars. Okay, beyond studies, you should do something. It's a very good change which I'm witnessing in this country and this world. But then during those days, my parents were very conventional. Not that I'm complaining them here. It is how those days the parents were. So when I wrote my first story in my 5th standard, I went and showed it to my father. He read it completely. I was waiting for his feedback. At the end of it, he asked me, "What is your quarterly marks?" I said some marks. I was not a very exceptional student. I was an above average student. I told him the mark. He then said, "No, no, these are waste of time. Just go and study." Okay. And then from then, what I started doing was I write everything, the stories, and keep it inside my shelf. I don't show it to anybody because I didn't know that whatever I'm doing is good or bad. And I think after 2-3 years, when I moved into 8th standard or something, uh, in my school there was an internal magazine. Okay, so they asked all the students to submit some article. So I gave one of my short stories to the teacher. I still vividly remember her name. She is Mrs. Nirmala, one of my favorite teachers then. And she read the story completely and asked, "How do you have such a good talent?" Then I told her, my parents says it's a waste of time, but I don't feel like writing every time. Can you tell me why am I writing? Was a question I threw on her. You know what she said? She said, Satya, could you tell me why a flower is blooming? I said, probably it's because of its nature. And then she said, that is what your nature is all about. Okay, you are writing because it's your nature, it's in your DNA. So you should start writing. So for the very first time, my story got published in the internal magazine, and I went and gave it to my parents. I was really looking forward because I was moved to see my name in the printed form. I went and gave that to my parents, and I was waiting for their feedback again. My parents went through it and asked, "What is your mark in half-yearly exam?" Right? So that is how it went off. So it took a long time for me to become an author because in India, you have to settle certain things before you chase your passion, unless or otherwise you come from an extremely rich background. Okay, I'm not coming from, I don't have that much of luck in terms of getting a very filthy rich background. So I came from a pretty ordinary background. So what I did was that I waited for some time. I got married very early because mine was a love marriage. So my wife couldn't wait for a very long time for me to get settled. So we had to get married at my early age, and then we were blessed with a kid as well. And then I told you about my shift of the industry. So I waited for my PhD to get over. In this industry, PhD was mandatory. So all this happened, and then I started following this passion of writing books. So when I wrote my first book, Gauri, the biggest challenge is obviously time, right? Because you have to work, you have to take care of your family, and then you have to find your time to sit and write as well. So but one good thing God has blessed me with is that I really don't have to go into a very serene or calm and quiet place to write. Many authors says this, right? I have to go into a hilly place or into a 5-star hotel room to write a story, but I don't have such inhibitions. I can, even if it is going to be an obnoxious situation, I can sit and write. So I started writing. I spent about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes every day, and then the story shaped up very well. But the challenge was I didn't know whether the story was good enough or not. Because you don't know, unless you stand in the middle of the stage, you don't know how good you are, right? So I had to give the book to some of the friends who are good in reading, and it was mixed review. Some of them said it's a very good book. Some of them said it could be better than what you have written, right? But I should also confess that the first book, Gauri, was not my genre at all. I wanted to write that to see where do I stand, right? My genre is probably the second book, which we will talk in a short time. But then this is what happened. So the biggest challenge was time, and I didn't know whether it's a what I'm doing is a right thing or not. So when I was hunting for publishers, I was rejected left, right, and center by many publishers. When I wrote the proposal letter to the publishers, most of them rejected me because in India, what happens is without disrespecting all the publishers here who are watching this, I'm telling this. What happens in India is that the priority is not given to the content. The priority is given to the author's popularity. So if you are not a popular author, you will not be, your book will not be considered at all. The problem is they don't even read. The publishers won't even read. So that is the problem. So when I gave the book to many people, they didn't read. But then finally, my first publisher, Notion Press, read, and they were ready to publish my book. So that is where it all started.
Good to know, sir. It's a very challenging story, very challenging journey, I'd say. But then I think it has led to fruitful results.
Yeah.
We'll come to the first book, Gauri, you said. Then we'll move to the reception moment. So, Gauri reflects the experiences of, just like you said, it's not a cup of tea for any writer to be, any male writer, I'd say, because it reflects the experiences of many women, the hardships of women, sacrifice of their own desires and all. I believe it serves as a tribute to unsung women in every household as well, highlighting their silent strength and resilience. What pushed you to take such a route? I know that you wanted to try something out of your comfort zone, out of your strength, but this is woman written by a man, and you aren't even a established writer. How true to yourself? You are just venturing it. It's your first book. So, what motivated you to take that bold decision of writing, complex woman-led story? It's not just a woman-led story. I must say it's complex, and it's from a woman's perspective of life. And what observations in your life made you write those character and the journey of that woman character? What experiences led to those?
So when I started this Gauri, one thing was in my mind. None of my characters are going to be good or bad. It is not going to be black or white. All characters are going to be in the shades of gray because that's how the life is, right? We all have good habits, we all have bad habits, we all have good thinkings, we all have bad thinkings. So that is the human tendency. That is how the human DNA is constructed. So I thought that all the characters in this story is going to be reflecting shades of gray. So if you see, look at Shiva. Shiva is not a hero material. He's a very common man, okay, who gets sidelined by all the pressures that are coming along. He gets succumbed to the situation, right? Whereas Shalini, the student character, is also like that. She is not bad. She's at the same time, she is not very good also. She just uses the situation and moves off, right? So what if these two characters meet? This is what gave me. And how did I find Gauri? you know, Gauri is the hero of the story. And if you ask me, the women in our household actually inspired me. My mother, my wife are the people who inspired me in writing such a character. See, I always thought this. I'm very fortunate. You are also. We are very fortunate to be a man in this world, because when you get married, at least in India, you literally have to go out of the house to another house and become a daughter of that house. How difficult it is. It's very difficult, right? How can you start calling somebody's mother as ma, somebody's father as pa, which those people you don't even know till you're 23, 24, 25, but still you will get accustomed to the situation. And their priorities are going to be your priorities. Their festivals are going to be your festivals. Their culture is going to be your culture. So ultimately, whatever you have learned for the first 23 years, 24 years in your home is going to be diluted, and the new home is going to become your home. Is it not a big sacrifice? I think this is the biggest sacrifice. Many people say that motherhood is the biggest sacrifice for women, but I would rather say this would slightly be better on the scale compared to the motherhood, because women are moving out of their houses to another house and getting accustomed to a situation. So I wanted to pen down a story for such women, right? A young woman, okay, not a motherly type. Whenever you read about a person who's sacrificing in all stories, it will always be an elder woman. I didn't want to have an elder woman as a hero here. I wanted a younger woman to be a hero. And that is why Gauri is a very beautiful, stylish girl. At the same time, very polite and also very mature for her age. This is the characterization I chose.
That's great, sir. I totally agree with what you have said. The struggle that woman has to face, as in marriage comes before even motherhood, and which is something that none of us will ever have to face.
And also one more problem here is many families are not that open-minded to accept the girl, as she is. Okay. Even today, I'm telling you that if women are having a different perspective about their career, about their style quotients, families are objecting to it. And obviously, the women have to change. But if you ask me whether the men also faces the same problem, not at all. Not at all. No, we don't. We don't. At least I have never. When I go to my wife's parents, my in-laws' house, I'm treated as a king, right? That happens to all the boys in India, right? Whereas the women, they go to the same husband's house, she is treated, I won't say a maid, but at least she is treated like a daughter in the house, not like a queen. So I'm getting some priority, and that priority is not given to them. So I want to pen down that as an idea.
Yeah, which is exactly why I must again emphasize what a bold move it was for you, bold and a great move to write such a story wherein you are actually giving a tribute and acknowledging which other people either fail to notice or struggle to write as well. So that's why Gauri was actually not just your first book, but one of the best book I would say within the both of them. Even though the second one entertained much more, but Gauri was really great. Much more ahead of its time, I would also say that.
Thank you.
Is Gauri actually your love story?
Many people ask me this story, this question, whether Gauri is my story, because it talks about a professor's life, and the professor is also very young, so they think that it's my biography. I still have some more time to write my biography, I think. And in the second story, the deception moment, the protagonist is a raw officer. Nobody asked me whether it's your story. uh, I would prefer if somebody asked me that question to be more engaging than this one. So to answer you this question, it's a completely fiction and nothing related to my personal life.
If you could go back in time, just like in Inception moment, what would you do different?
Okay. See, I'm a very firm believer of staying in present. Okay. I generally don't dream of going behind or going forward. But if at all, if there is an opportunity being given to go back in time, two things I would like to definitely do. One thing is I would like to go for a movie with my young parents. Okay, as friends. Okay. I'll be of this age and they'll be of my age then. So I'd like to go to a movie with my parents as friends. The other one is I'd certainly like to go to my wife's house and see on the day when she was born, right? I'd like to see how it exactly happened during that day, how she cried. Probably take a selfie with her and come back and show it to her.
Awesome, son. Great.